Right. Hi, David. I'm giving you some comments on your text task 2 here. I hope the music in the background here in the Starbucks in Brussels airport is not too disturbing, but I'll try and make this as clear as possible. First of all, this is a fairly good text. You write well. This is fluent, correct, and cohesive writing. So there are not a lot of things that you need to improve on in terms of your sort of basic skills. So what I want to give you feedback on is to do with structure and to do with paragraphs. Refer back to the PowerPoint that I showed you or went through the first time that we met. If there's anything that's not quite clear in terms of what I'm saying here. In general, in terms of the structure, you have quite logical and clear messages in your paragraphs. Less so, however, on the global level. And what I mean by that is that I think this text breaks into two parts. The two parts are not immediately coherent. That is to say, it's not immediately obvious to your reader why these two parts or how they hang together and why it's necessary for me to have these two parts in order to understand the message. So that has to be clearer. One of the things that you can check this by is writing a title that tells me what does this text do. It's like putting a label on a can of beans. It has to say on the label what's inside the can. And I don't know that from your title. And when I read, I keep searching for the kind of general idea of what you're doing. So write an introduction that tells me how does these two parts cohere, what's going to happen throughout the text. Like lead me through it, signpost along the way so that I know where am I in that kind of general map that you sort of drew for me in the beginning, in the intro. And then signpost along the way so I know where I am in terms of the journey along the map, if you like. I have to say that in terms of your paragraphs, going sort of slightly down, not completely global level, but towards the more local level, part 1 works really well. There are a couple of paragraphs that have more than one topic sentence. That is to say, you say more than one thing. So you're trying to write basically about two major points. Split those into two paragraphs, so one thesis sentence per paragraph, okay? When we come to the end of part 1, you have two short paragraphs. They need to be revised so that you either basically condense it into one paragraph or you expand it and give more support for the message that you want to convey there. So have a look at that and see if you can revise that. Either expand or condense. For part 2, again, look at the coherence here because we now have very short paragraphs and it's almost like a list. You have to be clearer about the the coherence between those paragraphs. Again, it's a question of either condensing it into fewer paragraphs or expanding and giving me more text. Do either of those two. So in summation, you're doing pretty well, I think. There's a lot that's good and that's effective. There's not a lot of issues on the local level. I would, however, say that you would benefit from punctuation, especially commas. There's no issue with full stops, but the commas, they give me, it gives the reader and gives me an easier time understanding your message. Especially when it comes to adjective clauses. Those are the ones that usually begin the sentence, kind of sets up how am I meant to understand this sentence. So I would advise you maybe to look into that. If you want me to give you a reference for how you can work on that, I'm happy to do that. We can talk about that on Friday when I see you, if that's of interest. Otherwise, it's a structural issue. It's about creating good cohesion, creating coherence, and making sure the reader knows what's going on in the text. Okay, if there are any questions, you can email me. or we can talk about it on Friday. Otherwise, that's it for me. I'll see you Friday.